What if I told you that the way most gardeners prune their roses is quietly destroying next season's blooms before they even form? What if I said that the generic pruning advice you've been following, the kind that treats every rose the same way, is actually one of the most common reasons rose gardens underperform year after year? Most gardeners don't skip pruning. They prune regularly, with good intentions, using the advice they found online or heard from neighbors. But here's the shocking part. It's not that gardeners don't prune. It's that they prune at the wrong time, in the wrong way, and as if all roses were the same. And that quietly destroys next season's blooms. In this video, I'm going to expose the 5 biggest pruning mistakes that most gardeners make, so you can finally prune with confidence and produce the abundant, healthy blooms your roses are capable of. These aren't minor technique issues. They're fundamental errors that affect timing, tools, cut quality, and plant structure. At the end, I'll reveal the pruning mistake that causes more disease problems and bloom failures than any other single factor. Now, let's talk about why pruning goes so wrong for so many gardeners. Pruning seems simple. You cut back the plant and it grows better. But roses are more complex than that. When you prune at the wrong time or in the wrong way, you don't just miss an opportunity to improve the plant, you actively damage it. The core problem is that most pruning advice is generic. It doesn't account for rose type, regional climate, or the specific goals of the gardener. But different roses have completely different pruning requirements. A climbing rose pruned like a hybrid tea will lose an entire season of blooms. A shrub rose pruned in midsummer will bleed sap and waste energy healing rather than flowering. Understanding the specific rules for your specific roses is the foundation of successful pruning. Number 5, pruning at the wrong time. This is where most rose failures begin. Gardeners prune whenever they remember, midsummer, early winter, right after they buy the plant, without understanding how timing affects bloom production and plant health. Heavy pruning in summer forces the plant to leak sap and waste energy on healing instead of blooming. The plant diverts resources away from flower production and toward wound repair, weakening the bush and reducing flower output for weeks. Summer pruning should be limited to deadheading and light shaping, never hard cutting back. Pruning too early in spring, before the danger of frost has passed, stimulates soft new growth that late frost can kill back, leaving blackened stems and fewer blooms. You've triggered the plant to invest energy in growth that gets destroyed. Here's what to do. For most roses, wait for forsythia to bloom in your area as your pruning signal. It's a reliable indicator that soil temperatures have warmed and hard frost risk has passed. For once blooming roses, the timing is different, but that depends on knowing your rose type, which is exactly what the next mistake is about. While wrong timing destroys blooms before they form, but the next mistake treats all roses identically. Number 4, treating all roses the same. Walk into any garden and you'll see gardeners applying identical pruning techniques to climbing roses, shrub roses, and hybrid teas. Same height, same timing, same approach. This is one of the most damaging mistakes in rose care, and the one most likely to wipe out an entire season of blooms. Shrub roses and hybrid teas bloom on current season's new growth. They respond well to a hard spring prune. Cutting back roughly 1/3 to 2/3 of cane length encourages vigorous new growth that carries abundant flowers. This approach works perfectly for these types. But rambling and old-fashioned climbing roses bloom on older wood from the previous year or two. If you cut them hard in early spring like a shrub rose, you remove the very canes that were going to carry this year's flowers. The rule experienced rose growers use is simple. Blooms once, prune after bloom, within 4 to 6 weeks of flowering ending. Blooms repeatedly, prune in late winter or early spring, once buds are just swelling but before full leaf out. This single distinction prevents the most common timing error in rose pruning. Here's what to do. Before pruning any rose, determine whether it blooms once per season or repeatedly. Check the plant tag, research the variety online, or observe the plant for 1 full season before making major pruning decisions. You apply the right technique to the right rose and never accidentally eliminate a season's worth of flowers. When you combine correct timing with rose-type awareness, you've solved the 2 biggest structural pruning errors. But the next mistake damages plants through the tools themselves. Number 3, making the wrong cuts. Even gardeners using sharp, clean bypass pruners often make cuts incorrectly. And the specific errors they make, wrong angle, wrong position, wrong bud selection, cause problems that persist for months. The most common cutting error is leaving long stubs above buds. When you cut too far above a bud, the stub of cane above the bud has no growing point to keep it alive. That stub dies back, turning brown and rotting. This dieback can continue down the cane past the bud, killing the growth point you were trying to preserve. Those brown tips you see on rose canes after pruning are almost always the result of stubs rotting back from bad cuts. Straight horizontal cuts are another common error. A flat cut holds water on the cut surface, which promotes fungal disease and rot. Cuts should be made at a slight angle, approximately 45 degrees, sloping away from the bud so water runs off rather than pooling on the wound. Cutting to inward-facing buds is equally problematic. When you cut to a bud that faces toward the center of the plant, the new growth that emerges will grow inward, crossing other canes and creating a dense, shaded center. This reduces airflow and creates conditions where fungal diseases thrive. Here's what to do. Make every cut approximately 1/4 inch above an outward-facing bud or a leaf with 5 leaflets. Angle the cut at 45 degrees, sloping away from the bud. This position and angle encourages outward growth, sheds water from the cut surface, and leaves just enough cane above the bud to protect it without creating a stub that dies back. Every cut you make promotes healthy, outward growth and heals cleanly without disease entry points. Now, are there times when inward-facing buds are acceptable? Occasionally, when a plant has very few canes and you need to preserve growth. But in most situations, outward-facing buds produce better structure and healthier plants. Number 2, over-pruning and under-pruning. Most gardeners fall into one of two camps. They either tip the plant lightly, removing almost nothing, or they cut everything down extremely hard every year. Both extremes cause problems. Under-pruning leaves a mass of old, woody, unproductive canes that flower weakly and crowd the center of the plant. Old canes produce smaller flowers on shorter stems. The dense, tangled structure blocks light and air from reaching the interior, creating perfect conditions for black spot and powdery mildew. Under-pruned roses gradually decline in vigor and bloom quality year after year. Over-pruning removes more than half the healthy growth and puts the plant under significant stress. This can reduce vigor and flowering, especially on immature or sensitive roses. Removing too much in a single session shocks the plant and forces it to spend energy recovering rather than blooming. Extreme hard pruning every year weakens rather than strengthens most roses. The structural goal that experienced rose growers aim for is an open vase or goblet shape with 3 to 6 strong main canes and good spacing between them. This structure maximizes light penetration into the center of the plant, improves air circulation, and gives each cane room to develop strong flowering laterals. Here's what to do. Start every pruning session by removing the 3 Ds, dead, diseased, and damaged canes, completely. Then remove crossing canes that rub against each other. Finally, remove the oldest, darkest, most woody canes at the base to encourage vigorous new growth. Aim to remove about 1/3 to 1/2 of overall growth on established shrub and hybrid tea roses. You maintain vigor, improve structure, and create the open, airy form that produces the best blooms and resists disease. When you combine correct timing, rose type awareness, proper tools, precise cuts, and structural pruning, you've addressed 5 of the 6 critical errors. But the final mistake creates problems and conditions most gardeners never consider. Number 1, pruning in the wrong conditions. Most gardening guides cover when to prune, but almost none address the conditions you're standing in when you do it. Gardeners prune whenever they have time, during soaking rain, in a hard freeze, in whatever weather happens to be available. Those conditions damage both the plant and the soil, independently of whether your seasonal timing is correct. Walking on saturated soil compacts it around the roots and squeezes out oxygen, making it harder for roses to recover and grow after pruning. Compacted soil reduces root function and nutrient uptake at exactly the moment when the plant needs strong roots to support new growth. Pruning in hard freezes, even if it's technically the right week on the calendar, allows frost to penetrate fresh cuts, blackening the wood and causing dieback that extends further down the cane than the original cut. Fresh cuts made in freezing temperatures don't seal properly and become entry points for damage that wouldn't have occurred if you'd waited a day or two for conditions to ease. Here's what to do. Before you pick up your pruners, check the ground and the thermometer, not just the calendar. The soil should not squelch under your boots. Temperatures should be above freezing and ideally above 40 degrees. You don't need perfect spring weather, just conditions where the soil isn't waterlogged and temperatures aren't below freezing. You protect both the plant and the soil from stress that undercuts everything else you've done right. I'd love to hear from you. Which of these 6 pruning mistakes have you been making? And which correction are you going to apply first this season? Let me know in the comments. What's been your biggest challenge with rose pruning? And have you noticed a difference between pruning at different times of year? If you found this helpful and want to finally prune your roses with confidence, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with fellow rose gardeners who are struggling with bloom production. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. We've got more rose care guides, seasonal timing tips, and garden problem-solving secrets coming your way soon. Check out the related videos linked right here on the screen to dive deeper into topics like rose disease prevention and spring rose care. Thank you so much for watching and being part of our growing community. Until next time, happy gardening!